Welcome to BBC International News. First I will tell you the news title and then the details.
Great news, 800,000 Palestinian refugees in Rafah, UN. Update news, Hamas is ready for a long-term war with Israel. Top news, U.S. skeptical of Netanyahu's absolute victory in Gaza.
Listen to the news title so far, now listen to the details.
Israeli forces have intensified operations in the southern Gaza city of Rafah since last week. After that, at least 800,000 Palestinians fled to save their lives from Rafah and became refugees. This information was reported by UNRWA, the United Nations Agency for Palestinian Refugees. UNRWA Chief Philippe Lazzarini criticized the repeated displacement of Palestinians in a statement on Saturday. Philippe Lazzarini said Palestinians in Gaza have been repeatedly displaced since the start of the war. They have been forced to flee again and again in search of safe shelter, but did not get safe shelter. They were not safe even in various shelters run by the United Nations. Meanwhile, yesterday Saturday, not only Rafah, there was fierce fighting all over Gaza. Dozens of Palestinians have been killed in Israeli attacks. The Ministry of Health in Hamas-controlled Gaza said earlier yesterday that 83 people had been killed in indiscriminate attacks by Israeli forces in Gaza in the last 24 hours. Later in the day, Al Jazeera Arabic reporter Ismail Al-Ghor said that 40 bodies were brought to Kamal Adwan Hospital in northern Gaza. They were killed in an Israeli bomb attack on the Jabalia refugee camp. At least 15 people were killed in another attack. Jabalia refugee camp is the largest of the 8 historic refugee camps in Gaza. Israeli armored vehicles have reached the center of Jabalia, residents said. The Israeli bulldozers have crushed all the houses and shops on the way forward. Israel declared Jabalia free of Palestinian fighters in the early months of the Gaza offensive. But last week, the Israeli army said it was relaunching operations in Jabalia to prevent Gaza fighters from regrouping. 7 months have passed since the start of Israel's indiscriminate attack on Gaza. More than 35,000 people have been killed in the Gaza Strip so far, according to the Hamas-controlled Gaza Health Ministry. On the other hand, Hamas still has hundreds of Israeli hostages across the Gaza Strip. Hamas is ready for a long-term war with Israel. Hamas says it is ready for a long-term war with the Israeli army. The military wing of the Palestinian Liberation Organization said this on Friday. This was mentioned in the news of Turkish news agency Anadolu. In a video message, Abu Ubaidah, spokesman for Hamas is Aldin al-Qassam brigades, said, "We are fully committed to ending the aggression against our people. But we are ready to fight with them for a long time to destroy the enemy." Abu Ubaidah pointed out that they are not revealing everything about the losses that the Israeli forces are suffering in Gaza. Abu Ubaidah announced that al-Qassam brigade fighters have targeted 100 Israeli military vehicles across Gaza in the past 10 days. Abu Ubaidah pointed out that they are not revealing everything about the losses that the Israeli forces are suffering in Gaza. The spokesman of the Qassam brigade claimed that the fighters of this brigade inflicted heavy blows on the enemy, Israeli army, in the eastern part of Rafah city. Last week, Israeli forces launched an operation in the southernmost town of Rafah in Gaza. In the face of Israeli attacks in Gaza, many people fled from different places and took refuge here. The city is now home to more than 1.5 million homeless Palestinians. Israeli forces have already occupied the Palestinian side of the Rafah crossing. The crossing is critical for humanitarian aid to reach Gaza from the outside. It is also the only route from the besieged Gaza Strip to the rest of the world through Israel. Members of Hamas, a pro-independence group in the Palestinian territories that have been under Israeli occupation for decades, attacked Israel on October 7 last year and took 253 hostages to Gaza. Israel claims that 1,200 people were killed in this attack. Meanwhile, according to the information of the Palestinian Health Authority, more than 35,000 Palestinians have lost their lives in the violence of the Israeli forces in Gaza since that day. Most of them are women and children. Apart from this, more than 79,200 people were injured in the attack. Israel's war on Gaza, which has lasted more than 7 months, has devastated large parts of the valley. Millions of people are suffering from acute shortages of food, water, fuel, and medicine. In this situation, South Africa has made 4 applications to the International Court of Justice, ICJ, in The Hague against Israel for committing genocide in Gaza. The petitions sought the withdrawal of Israeli troops from Gaza, the establishment of a ceasefire in the Gaza Strip, the guarantee of humanitarian aid there, and a court order to stop the operation of Israeli forces in Rafah. U.S. skeptical of Netanyahu's absolute victory in Gaza. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has vowed to continue fighting until total victory is achieved against Hamas in Gaza. However, in the United States, President Joe Biden's administration does not think that his absolute victory is going to be achieved by defeating Hamas, or that it is possible. United States Deputy Secretary of State Kurt Campbell said this on Monday local time. Netanyahu has frequently used the phrase total victory in speeches since the start of the Gaza offensive. He has repeatedly said this goal is on the way to be achieved. While U.S. officials are calling on Israel to help craft a clear plan for a post-war administration in Gaza, Campbell's position as the most senior U.S. official so far is clear. He is effectively arguing that Israel's current military strategy will not produce the results that the country seeks. Campbell said at the NATO Youth Summit in Miami, USA, "We have to burn wood in some cases to understand what this theory of victory really is." The U.S. official said, "I don't think it's going to happen, or we believe it's possible. It looks a lot like the situation we found ourselves in after 9/11. Campbell's comments came as Washington warned Israel not to launch a major military operation in the Gaza Strip's southernmost city of Rafah. More than 1 million people already displaced by the ongoing war have taken refuge there. Regarding the solution to the ongoing crisis, Campbell said, "I think that we have to solve it politically, which is different from our position in the past. Many other countries in the world also want to move towards this political solution, where the rights of Palestinians will be more secure." Meanwhile, the White House has denied reports that the United States will suspend the provision of intelligence to Israel about the location of Hamas leaders. Multiple media reports said the United States would only provide intelligence to Israel if Rafah's planned operation was kept to a limited level. A White House official told the Jewish Telegraphic Agency, "The United States is working day and night with Israel to find the senior leaders of Hamas who led the brutal terrorist attacks on October 7th, to bring them, Hamas leaders, to justice. As part of the relief effort, we are giving Israel unprecedented support that only the United States can provide. We will continue to work relentlessly for the same purpose in the future." The official of the White House also said, "The news that is being published to the contrary is false. Helping Israel attack Hamas leaders and providing the information we have on their whereabouts is our highest priority, and it comes at no cost. It does not depend on the decisions taken by the Israeli authorities of their own choice."